Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering the woke boycotts. Bud Light has now seen its worst sales drop yet. 30.3% nationwide drop in volume as of the week ended June 10th. This means throughout the entire country, where in some places it's not nearly as bad as 30%, in other places it is much worse than 30%. For example, in Florida, it was off as much as 60% over Memorial Day weekend. In Delaware, it was off 40%. In Staten Island, New York, it was off 50%. This makes it impossible to service those areas properly because the decline, even though it's massive, it's not even equally massive across the country. That would make sense because in the more rural, the more conservative areas, it's going to be much worse. But even Staten Island, while it's kind of conservative, it's not that conservative that it should be 50% off like that. If you think these numbers are bad, these are actual sales at stores. You can imagine the distributors must be cutting their orders back tremendously. Why would they buy cans and bottles of Bud Light if they can't sell them? So there's really no need for a distributor to buy the stuff and anticipate, okay, well, maybe we can sell some this week. Maybe we'll sell some the following week. Retailers, distributors, they're in the business of moving their product. They cannot buy stuff and just hold on to it forever. Everything they buy that doesn't sell quickly ties up their money and ties up their space. If they're not moving merchandise, they're losing money. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 25,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Okay, coming from the Daily Mail, Bud Light suffers its worst weekly sales drop as it plummets another 27% as costs of the partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney continue to cripple the beer giant. And it really is damaging the company. Their stock is down. It is down significantly. It's down to $56.44, and their market value as of today, per the Motley Fool website, is $97 billion. $97 billion is a lot of money. I'd like to have it. But on March 31st, the company was worth $132 billion. So this is a really, really severe loss that they've had. Bud Light has suffered its worst weekly sales drop following its disastrous partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The beer's sales dropped 26.8% the week ending June 10th, the worst week since its early April advertising campaign resulted in a swift backlash. That was April 1st that the first post was done by Dylan Mulvaney, and the rest is history. That drop of 26.8% is sales revenue. It's not physical bottles and cans. Physical bottles and cans actually dropped 30.3%. I actually did send a message on Twitter to make sure that she updates it or keeps it correct next time to Alyssa Guzman so that people understand how big the drop really is, because they only list the revenue here, not the volume. The volume is a critical number. If the beer doesn't physically move, then there are no sales. The reason the sales aren't as bad as the drop off in volume is because they were able to raise their prices and the market accepted it. Manufacturer can raise its prices whenever they want to. And if it works, they get more money. It's a deeper drop from the week ending on June 3rd, which saw a 24.4% drop in revenue, according to Bump Williams Consulting and NielsenIQ. The new low beats the previous worst, an almost 26% drop for the week ending May 25th. It comes after Bud Light lost its crown as America's best-selling beer to Modelo, a Mexican lager brewed by Grupo Modelo, which is also owned by Budweiser manufacturer Anheuser-Busch. However, even though Anheuser-Busch owns that company in Mexico, they do not own the sale of the beer and the profits from the beer in the United States. It was an antitrust arrangement with the US government, so Modelo Especial is owned by Constellation Brands in the United States. Anheuser-Busch's other brands, including Budweiser, Michelob Ultra, and Natural Light, have also seen a significant decline in sales since the controversy. Now that is true, but just so you get the full picture, the other brands, not Bud Light, do seem to be bouncing back a little bit and may even eventually recover a lot of what they've lost. Bud Light, it looks like it's dead forever. The rest of the brands people are not as passionate about not wanting to buy. This was a tough week for Bud Light and other beer brands, says Bump Williams, owner of Bump Williams Consulting. Since the Anheuser-Busch scandal, the nation's formerly second largest beer, Modelo, has quickly risen through the ranks, rising to 5.7% in sales for the week ending June 10th. Now, even though they say that there's been a 30% drop nationally, I see pictures like this all over the place. People send me pictures like this all over the place. Pictures where even though they've got promotions on the beer, even though, as this promotion says, free Bud Family 20-pack bottle, $15 less $15 discount code, final cost $0, people are not buying or taking on the beer even for free. So how does that represent a loss of 30% or even the loss in Florida of 60%? It's hard to say. There's other ways that the beer is distributed. It's not all just in these 20 case packs, but in some places, people obviously don't care. They're willing to buy the beer. They take it at a discount, or they're not even aware of what's going on in social media. But eventually it's going to get much worse for Bud Light because they're not going to even have beer on shelves like this. The store can't afford to fill up their refrigerators and coolers and pay for all the electricity and pay for all the floor space to not turn over the product. The product can't just go there, sit there for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then get pulled off and destroyed, and then the retailer is in a good situation. The retailer only makes money when stuff is sold, same as the distributor. They only make money when the merchandise moves and then gets replaced and then moves again, which is why come September, there are going to be severe reductions in Bud Light's shelf space, according to Anson Fredericks, former president of distribution for Anheuser-Busch, who's explained the sales period ends in August, and that's when stores start to look at what was selling well during the last period, what was selling badly in the last period, and then they shift around how much space you get on the shelf based on how well you did, which is what the stores have to do to survive their own business. Anheuser-Busch is going to be paying cash directly to distributors to help cover some of the costs of this disastrous promotion that destroyed their businesses. There are 3 different levels of compensation that the distributors are going to get. There's an A level, a B level, a C level, from least affected to worst affected, and the worst affected are going to get something like 50 cents a case. I'm not really sure how that's going to help them so much. It may add up because of volume. Maybe they're going to see some dollars from it, and this is going to continue through the end of 2023. They're also going to help pay some of the fuel costs for transporting this beer around, because if you're paying labor to have somebody put beer on a shelf in a supermarket that doesn't sell, and you've driven your truck that way, and now you've got to get your truck to go and pick it back up and bring it back to the distributor so it can be destroyed, who's going to pay for all that gas money? It adds up after a while. Anheuser-Busch is going to kick in some money and pay for some of that, at least through 2023. But obviously, the brand is going to be shrinking to no longer be number 1, probably not be number 2, and land somewhere at number 3. But in some markets like Florida, these other places where the beer is being the market has been destroyed, they're going to be much further down the sales list. Anheuser-Busch's chief marketing executive called the boycott over its Bud Light beer a, quote, important wake-up call for brands to be very humble. It's not a wake-up call for brands. It's a wake-up call for the Bud Light people. They never should have done this Dylan Mulvaney promotion. And after it came out with such a terrible market reaction, they never should have waited 2 weeks before making any kind of public comment. And then when they finally did, it was a worthless comment. During that time, nobody even understood, are you now having Dylan Mulvaney as the face of your new beer? Your official brand ambassador? Is Dylan Mulvaney's face going to be on all Bud Light cans? Nobody knew. No one would know except maybe Dylan Mulvaney and the Bud Light company. They didn't even tell their distributors. Nobody knew what was going on, and we still never got the full story from them. As it goes from week to week, there is no sign of any rebounding for Bud Light for any of these markets they sell into. Nowhere in the country does it seem like it's picking up. I've seen literally not one article talk about how Bud Light sales are really rebounding in Maryland or anything like that. There's really no expectation that this is going to get fixed, especially not anytime soon. Coming from Marketing Week, Bud Light brand health shows no sign of recovery as impact of backlash persists. Bud Light's brand health plummeted following the controversy surrounding its partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, with consumers across the board now looking at the brand unfavorably. And this isn't just conservatives, it's not just liberals, it's just normal people don't want to be seen with the brand. It doesn't have any kind of positive connotations to it. Sure, there were some liberals that were upset that Dylan Mulvaney wasn't more aggressively supported and they could have done more to stand behind Dylan Mulvaney. There was really nothing that Anheuser-Busch could have possibly done for Dylan Mulvaney. There's a limit to their powers. There's also a limit to what their money can do. They spoiled themselves in the market. This is how bad it is. According to YouGov's brand index shared with Marketing Week, the beer brand's index score, which is an overall measure of its brand health, dropped to negative 8.4% in the US as of June 11th. This is significantly down from the same time last year when its score was 7.9%. A huge swing from positive to negative. Bud Lighting, the action of canceling a company, is now an international thing. This article comes from The Spinoff, a New Zealand publication. This article covers how conservatives in New Zealand targeted online on social media and then went in some stores and essentially boycotted those stores, creating a Bud Light type of situation all the way over in New Zealand. This is a worldwide event and it's tied to the Bud Light brand. It's not going to get turned around anytime soon. I'm also finally seeing some of these finance publications wake up and realize that Anheuser-Busch is not a stock to be trusted. From Seeking Alpha, Anheuser-Busch InBev, Bud Light's investing story may have been canceled. Summary: Bud Light continues to suffer impacted sales due to the recent backlash, suggesting that the brewer has gravely misunderstood its own customer base. This came out on a day when the Bud stock was trading at $58.21. Today it's down to $56.44. So from when this article came out, the stock even got worse. Bud Light is tanking. They brought this on themselves. It's going to cost the parent company billions of dollars to sort through how the brand collapses to a 2 or a 3 or even a 10 on a list of top beers in different parts of the United States. It's no longer going to be a popular national brand. It's impossible for them to do that. They can't even promote the brand at this point because when they promote the brand, they remind people of the controversy. They made a terrible mistake in not respecting their customers. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Did you think they would get their sales down as much as 30%? Do you think 30% seems to be on the low side? What do you think is going to happen to their sales a year from now? Are they going to go down by 50%? I think it's got nowhere to go but down. Did you realize that sales for Bud Light are off as much as 60% in Florida? And have you seen Bud Light in your supermarket, your convenience stores, just sitting there on the shelf? And have you also been wondering, why do they even leave it on the shelf if no one's going to buy it, especially when it's free? How long could this possibly continue? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.